Pokémon Sun and Moon is getting closer to release and more information about the opening hours is coming to light. The most recent example is with a NicoNico stream that shows what happens after players leave Hau'oli City and take on Ilima's trial. But as we watched the stream, we couldn't help but notice a few new details from this demonstration. We've already listed a few in an update, but there's quite a bit more to see. So let's get started. The stream starts at the west exit of Hau'oli City, and right away they encounter a man that warns them of shaking grass. As we can see, shaking grass is no longer just an indication of different Pokemon that can be found in an area, but now a Pokemon that will actively attack you. It seems that this serves as a warning if your Pokemon are in poor health, similar to how the game now warns you about trainer battles. In any case, the fight turns out to be against a Makuhita, which doesn't tell us anything right away, except that we can see that Litten learns Lick. Eventually they capture the Makuhita, which provides another look at the Rotom Pokedex. And while it's mostly the same, there is one new aspect that we see right away, a percentage of completion. Once Makuhita is captured, we see that the entire Alola region is at 2%, while Melemele Island is at 5%. Not much can be done with this on its own, but then they capture Alolan Meowth. It's then that we see the Alola Pokedex stay at 2%, while the one for Melemele Island increases to 6%. This could help determine how many different Pokemon make up the Melemele Pokedex. Once Meowth is captured, that brings their total Pokemon on hand to 5, which we assume is all they've captured. With 6% of the Pokedex, this indicates that there's slightly less than 100 different Pokemon on the island, and it might be even less since the Munchlax on their team seems to be the special one that's given for getting the game early. Because of that, there's no indication of what island it could naturally be found on. For comparison, the 3 regions of the Kalos Pokedex were made up of about 150 different Pokemon each. If Alola follows suit, then we could be looking at around 100 different Pokemon on each island. But we're not sure if that number will remain consistent because the other islands seem bigger and more dense than Melemele. In fact, it seems like Ilima is the lone trial captain of Melemele Island. Unfortunately, we can't say for sure how many Pokemon total will be found in Alola, but the addition of percentages will definitely feed into those attempting to complete the Pokedex. The stream also provided a look at just what the heck can be found in the northwestern part of Melemele Island. It seems to be mostly small houses, though the Rotom Pokedex does show off some new details. For one, when they look at the map, there was an indicator exactly where the Delibird is met, triggering a story sequence with Team Skull. So it looks like the game itself will place markers to help indicate where players should go next to continue the story if they happen to get lost. Otherwise, all we see here is what looks to be a berry farm. Once they reach the northern part of the island, we finally see what was hiding behind the mountain on the map. And it turns out that there's a Pokemon Center right next to the entrance of Ilima's trial. But the stream also shows us the map of this area, and in it we see more of northern Melemele Island. The marker points the player towards Ilima's trial, and we can see that the entrance into the woods from the first village is just on the other side. Continuing east from the Pokemon Center shows that the path will eventually become barren and rocky. Finally, the right side of the map gives us a look at the waterfall, which seems to have something at its start, but we have no idea what that could be. Now obviously the eastern path is the faster method of getting to Ilima's trial, but we just can't go that way. After all, as we found out from our own playtime in our preview, that bridge collapses early on, so that's why you have to go the long way through Hau'oli City. But now it's finally time to see what a trial is all about. And right away we see trial areas are marked by the totems next to the entrance, just as we saw in an old trailer. Ilima's trial consists of entering the Verdant Cavern in order to find and defeat 3 Alolan Rattata in the area. For the first 2, this mainly consists of walking to their hole and pushing A, but it gets a little more complex with the final one. It keeps switching between 3 interconnected holes. Fortunately, Team Skull shows up to mess with you and inadvertently block 2 of the holes so you can challenge the last Pokemon, which turns out to be Eradicate. This opens the way past the man at the back of the cave who didn't actually appear until the trial officially began. When you talk to him before finishing the trial, he explains that he helps trainers with the island challenge as a supporter before informing you of how many Rattata are left to battle. The other side of this exit confirms that it's the battle arena with the totem Pokemon, another Raticate. The difference is that this one is twice the size of a normal Alolan Raticate. We can even see this thanks to the earlier battle. A normal Raticate is about equal in size to Makuhita, but the Totem Raticate towers over it. But the appearance of Alolan Raticate also proves that this is Pokémon Moon, something that seemed obvious since the trainer was referred to as Moon throughout the stream. That likely means that the trial will be slightly different in Pokémon Sun, with players having to track down 2 Yungoos and a Gumshoos before challenging the Totem Gumshoos. No matter the version, the trial is completed after defeating the Totem Pokemon, allowing you to take the normal Z Crystal from the nearby altar as a reward. This proves that the trials are how you get some of the Z Crystals. We say some because the stream also confirms that there's only 7 trial captains in total. So how are the other crystal types earned? Okay, we're almost done here, but there are still a few minor things to point out. For one, when Litten levels up, we get a look at its stats, which indicates that Litten will be fast with a decent attack, but low special defense. Next, we see that the yellow Pokeball in the Verdant Cavern is TM31, Brick Break, which should be pretty handy considering the typings of both Gumshoos and Raticate. We then see one more TM ball behind the altar during the Totem Pokemon confrontation, but when we enter the area, we can see that the path up to it is blocked by rocks, so it can't be collected until Tauros is available in the Poke Ride system. Finally, we translated the name of the first city, Hau'oli. In Hawaiian it means happiness, which seems pretty appropriate. And that's all the details we noticed that you may have missed. Pokémon Sun and Moon is fast approaching, and we have a pretty clear idea of how the opening hours on Melemele Island will play out. But did you notice anything during the NicoNico stream that we missed? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe to Game Explained for more on Pokemon and other things gaming.